Hello, welcome back to my channel. It is my second trimester of pregnancy and I came on to talk about it and update y'all and whoever watches this in the future. So I am now currently 27 weeks and I'm not just coming on to talk about how this trimester has been going, but also my decision on having a home water birth. I don't know what I look like, man. It's been interesting lately. Like, I have definitely had that burst in energy that they talk about when you're in the second trimester. So I do feel good because of that. But then on the other hand, I can sleep less at night because of the positioning of my body, my back aching. Like, I'll show you guys what my tummy looks like now. It's obviously a lot bigger and there's no way to hide that I am pregnant. So yeah, when I sleep, I absolutely need some kind of support for my lower back. Sometimes I sleep more like in this position, slanted with my back up. That usually is the best. And I'm having a boy. If you guys have not seen my gender reveal, then go check it out. And he kicks a lot now. So he is constantly moving around. Sometimes when I lay on one side, he wants to reposition himself. So I'll feel him kicking me and moving. And what I find interesting is that like throughout all of the growth spurts, because in the second trimester is when the baby starts to double in size really rapidly, really fast. So first of all, they are sleeping 14 hours a day, according to the things that I've read, and then they are up less. But what I find, and I'm sure this is going to be different for everyone, my baby boy likes to sleep for like a day, right, or two. It's really quiet, right? Kind of going through one of those days right now where he's like, I can feel the little movements, but nothing crazy. And then he's hyperactive for 2 complete days. He's up kicking all the time. It's a little scary, especially when you start to feel the kicks first and then you're like, oh, okay, I actually feel it now, which happened for me, I believe, around 18 weeks. I believe that started happening for me around 18 weeks. And at that time, it was very much like, am I feeling it? Am I not? And then I started like really noticing, okay. Then every week after that, it progressively got way more noticeable because he's getting bigger. And now I can't mistaken his size at all. Like, I know he's bigger. He'll also like lean on my stomach sometimes, or I don't know what body part it is, but I can like feel his body. It's really trippy. It's beautiful though. But I will say, like, I know I'm no exception. I know a lot of people get scared around this time. Look, he's kicking right now. I know some people get scared because you won't feel the kicks for a while, and it's alarming, right? Even though they want you to actually count the kicks after 28 weeks. So I'm 27 now, I'm at the end, and then after this week I will be in my third trimester, right? So then I have to actually count kicks, and let's say I don't feel him within an hour or two, it can be a problem and I need to contact my midwife, my doctor, whatever, and see, what I could do about it. I've noticed that, yes, I have definitely had a lot of worries, a lot of different feelings, and definitely the second trimester, now getting my energy back, my emotions are all over the place. I think my emotions were also all over the place in the first. The only difference being that in the first trimester, I was so fatigued and tired that I needed to just rest. So there was no time to really say anything or act on my emotions. And now in the second trimester, it's like, yeah, you gonna get it. Like, whoever's around, aka my boyfriend, aka Pata, he's going to get some of the brunt end of my emotions, and I'm just a lot more sensitive. And I'm naturally, like, y'all know I'm an astrologer. I'm an Aquarius moon, man, with Saturn there. I don't really get, like, too crazy emotional all the time. I can be a very cold person sometimes, too, not gonna lie. But now I've been binge watching home births, and just, like, it brings me to tears. I'm crying, especially because I'm getting more and more excited. I'm getting, like, so much more excited. I really just kind of want to give birth already. Not saying that I actually want to give birth, because I can wait. Okay, just talking to the universe. I can wait, and I want a healthy birth, and I want a healthy timing, but I'm excited, and I can't wait to actually have him in my arms and start the rest of the journey. But at the same time, I know, no rush, right? I'm getting my rest and drinking as much water as I can. Now that I say that, let's go take a sip. I should finish this. The transition between the first and the second trimester was rough because I was getting a lot of headaches. Now, I'm someone who suffers from headaches way back when, through diet and certain meditations and different spiritual practices. I've been able to keep myself out of the migraine zone for years. But now being pregnant is just a whole different thing, right? Your body's adjusting to so much. So migraines started happening, and they were really bad. The worst one was a whole 7 days, and I didn't want to take much. I took like a Tylenol a day because apparently I can take that, but I really didn't want to, even though the doctor literally laughed at me when I said I only took one. She laughed at me and was like, well, you can take 6 a day, which I wouldn't do. So just know that I've been overdoing the water because I have to. We all have to when we're pregnant, right? And the symptoms of the migraines, it lasted for like a month or two or month and a half, where they kept coming and going, but they were never severe as that first 7-day long one. After that, it kind of lasted like maybe 2-3 days, and then I noticed it was very much so related to stress. Like, if I started spiraling in my mind about something, I had to stop, because the headache would just, it could be nothing. It could be like a little tinge in my head, but then when I'm spiraling, it'll like explode. So it's been a interesting time, to say the least, spiritually as well, because I've been realizing, like, oh, I'm doing a lot of shadow work. I'm doing a lot of inner child, literally inner child work, and I have to stay on it, and I have to stay grounded more than ever. And so it kind of is giving me that glimpse of what motherhood can be like. I do not know, this is my first child, but the patience that it's going to require, right? And the forgiveness that it's going to require, and the taking it easy and taking it slow. And especially now during this time of North Node Taurus, South Node Scorpio, I've talked about it. It's even more so important that we take it slow, and that we do not repeat the issues of the past. So getting the physical symptoms that match with that, where if I wasn't pregnant, I probably would be able to spiral in my mind without getting a horrible headache. And when you get the headache, this is too much. I can't do this to myself, right? So it puts things in perspective. But like I said, I'm excited. I've been really excited. The registry was live. We started getting some gifts, and I put the crib together, although it's not completely perfect yet. You'll probably see this in my 3rd trimester update, because for now it is just, I haven't got the mattress, and still getting the room as much situated as I can. If you don't know, like, I'm in my own circumstances. This isn't perfect circumstances. I'm with my mom, and actually I'm really happy because of that. I will ride for community all day, because at the end of the day, this is not an easy process to go through alone. And having that extra support and having someone who can do the dishes, and remind you of little things and just be there, it's helpful to have people around. It is a very interesting time, and it's not just new for me, but it's new for Pata as well. So we're both going through this together. Like I said, if you watch my first update, I talked a little bit about that. We're still a new couple. And, the more that I go through the process, the more that I appreciate him for being able to allow me to be home and allow me to take care of myself and just do what he has to do. You know what I mean? And definitely when he's around and helps me with little things, that it means a lot. And just being together and learning each other and learning this process and seeing how even he's changing in little ways, it is beautiful. And I've had to remind myself to have patience with that as well, because once again, it's new for the both of us. So second trimester has been good. It has been good. I definitely can't fit in any of my clothes anymore, and I don't want to buy maternity clothes because it's just kind of a waste. Like, I'm home most of the time. I'll wear biker shorts. I'll wear dresses that are just a little baggy and oversized. I'll basically be in my pajamas. It is what it is. This is my time to nest. Lots of nesting. I've been eating a lot more, yes, in the second trimester. So I've also, because I got my appetite back, I've been able to eat, like, not gonna lie, a little bit more like junk food and some sugars and whatnot. But I definitely still monitor my diet, and I am giving myself as much protein and healthy fats and carbs in moderation that I need. So that's pretty much it for the second trimester update, because other than like heavy research on things like breastfeeding, what am I going to need, and getting certain things in order so I don't have to deal with that, then kind of coming up with certain plans, and at the same time still working on my own things, working on my own business, planning for an astrology beginners course. If y'all are interested, it will be available within the next few weeks, and hopefully I'm able to actually start it and run it. Now, I'm giving myself a lot of grace, because, which I really would urge all of y'all to do if you are pregnant and you can do that, give yourself the grace of not needing to get it all done, because this is such a process, document the journey. I've definitely taken lots of belly pics, and I have really tried to be conscious and present once again with this. And so I have been getting a lot done to have more energy. The readings with me have been super intuitive and really good. I've loved the quality of where my readings are going now, even being pregnant. And I just gotta say, like, it makes me feel so good to know that I'm still on my mission and my purpose, and I'm coming up with all these different ideas of stuff that I want to incorporate later after becoming a mom, and downloading all of that information and incorporating that in what I do and what I offer for others and what I can teach others. So yes, been doing a lot of research, talking to a lot of mamas and getting all the info that I can. And once again, like, because I feel so ready for this, and I feel like it's a great time in my life to do this. Things aren't perfect, but things will never be, and they will only get better. I can't say that I'm not grateful or disappointed in anything. My appointments have been great. Everything's on time so far, and I'm very, very, very blessed, because there's a lot going on that has scared me and worried me when it comes to other people too, seeing different stories, and those things can get really overwhelming. So I'm keeping it realistic. At the end of the day, anything can happen, I know that, and whatever happens, it's not truly completely in my control, and there is chaos to all of life, but there's a rhyme and rhythm even to the chaos and the madness in the world. So I trust that, and I trust spirit, and I trust my body, and I trust myself, and I trust my life path, and I trust my experiences, and I'm appreciative for all of them, good and bad. Now let's talk about home birth, because I am choosing to have, and I've chosen this basically from the beginning, but I'm talking about it now. I've chosen to have a home water vaginal birth, no medication, all the things. Now, what factors into my decision? A lot factors into my decision. If you know me, I'm just one of these people that like to experience life raw. I'm not a completely, like, I have my bougie elements and sides and whatnot, but I've always wanted to live much more natural, in unison with the land, and going through the stages as a woman and feeling all of these parts of it. I look at birth as an initiation into womanhood and motherhood in a lot of ways. But this is not to say that if you cannot have a home birth, or you don't want that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. I don't judge anyone for their decisions, okay? I appreciate all of the different sides to this, and I'm grateful that if something was to go down, I'm close enough to hospitals where I can go and get the help, because it's not always easy for everyone. So I'm a low risk pregnancy though, right? I'm a low risk pregnancy. My health is good. My sugar levels are good. I don't have a lot of issues in that would like prevent me from having a safe birth at home, because my body operates how it operates, right? So that's one thing. What else? Other than knowing that, yeah, this is such a beautiful time, such an initiatory period, that, when you do things like take a lot of medication, epidurals, and or get a C-section, the flow of the chemicals in your body is not the same as it was completely natural. You get spikes of adrenaline, but then you also get spikes of oxytocin, and those things even itself out and create that bonding experience with the child. There's a lot, of course, things that happen in the hospital, especially in the US, right, that I don't like, and they try to speed up your process. I don't want to be induced unless I absolutely need to be, but I don't want to go through that process, and I don't want anyone trying to manipulate me or rush me into that process because they want to get on with their day. You know what I mean? Even my experience just going to the doctor versus my midwife, that I'm so glad and lucky to have found one in Ocala, Florida. I'm glad that even though I have to come out of pocket for it, and it's a pretty penny, let me tell you, because in the United States, they just don't prioritize this, right? So it's not like in Canada where you can get a midwife and a doula for free in other parts of the world, but whatever. I'm in the US. Like I said, my circumstances, this is one of those things that like I will invest in, because I have gotten to this point to save the money that I have to do the things that I believe in, and this is one of those things. So even if all doesn't go as planned, which sometimes it doesn't, then I'm not going to be upset that I dished out the money for a midwife and went through this process. Just going to a midwife versus going to a doctor is so different. Having your appointment with someone who wants to hear about how it's going for you, is asking you how you feel, wants to know what your symptoms are. In the doctor's office, they don't ask you really anything, okay? Unless you speak up, they are rushing you out so they can get on with their day. And it's kind of hard, because when you are, especially like a new mom, you don't really know everything, or you have a lot of worries, and then they can get seemingly impatient, and it's not an experience that's pleasant. It's you're waiting in a waiting room forever to go see a doctor, and then you see a doctor for about 3 minutes, and then you're gone, right? And it's not what I want. I've gone through a lot of emotions. Like recently, I saw my midwife, maybe last appointment or the one before that, and like I broke down crying because she asked me how I was feeling. That was it. And I was going through my own hormonal stuff, so she was like, do you want to talk about it? And even though I didn't want to talk about it, I so appreciate that kind of extra level care. My first consultation was also where I put a deposit and everything down, but she gave me like a tea blend to help with my headaches and the whole nine. It's much more interactive. It's much more, what can we truly help you with through this process to make it seamless so that you feel good while you are actually going through this, because that's what makes a very successful birth, is when the mother feels safe and calm. And there's a lot of things in the hospital that are not going to allow that experience to be. Bright lights, you never know what you're going to get with the random nurses and doctors that are going to attend to you. And if you've had a beautiful experience at a hospital, like I said, it can happen. It's not like everyone out there is horrible. There's a lot of people that do care, but I just rather trust my body. I do trust my body, and I want to not fight anyone through that process, right? So I want to be able to get skin to skin right away for as long as I want. I want to be home. I don't want to have to rush anywhere and then accidentally, give birth in a car, or on a stretcher. Like my mom gave birth to the youngest sister before me. She was a preemie, but she gave birth to her literally on the stretcher. Yeah. I want to delay the cord clamping and wait till all of those stem cells and that blood goes into the baby. They steal that from you in the hospital, right? Because it's worth money, because people pay big bucks for those stem cells. But those stem cells belong to your baby. They don't belong to the hospital or any other, whatever institution that they're going to go sell that to. So yeah, I'm not with that. I don't want them to take my placenta from me and also use that, because there's also big bucks behind the placenta too. No, I don't want any of that. And people talk about the statistics and stuff, but I'm gonna read an excerpt from this book that I've been reading. Now, I started this book, Magical Child, by Joseph Chilton Pierce, a little while ago, but I made my decision before that. But he talks about birth, and I'm just gonna read it for y'all, and then we'll talk about it. So the United States has the most expensive medical system in the world and makes childbirth a major economic crisis. For in this country, virtually all children are born in hospitals. The United States also has an astonishingly high infant mortality rate. Some people don't believe that, but just look it up. Not only do our babies die at a record rate, a few years back we stood 16th on the list, but we have now pulled ourselves up to 13th. A little better than East Germany, but not quite up to Hong Kong. So yeah, the stats change, but just know that it's a little scary to think about. But also, so do our mothers. As one front page newspaper story put it, the pill might be dangerous, but it's a lot safer than having a baby. To this I would add, in the United States, yes. Holland, where most childbirth takes place in the home with only a midwife in attendance, although ample backup emergency service is ready, had the lowest infant mortality rate in the world among technological nations which kept tab on this sort of thing, until Sweden recently took up honors. In America, birth has become a technological profit-making event. You should also look at the documentary Pregnancy is or Birth is Birth as a Business. I'll look it up and sub a picture or something. It's pretty good, and it still stands a lot true to this day. Pregnancy is quite literally treated as a disease, with technological surgical delivery the final remedy of that disease. Failure to submit to the medical machinations for childbirth can result in criminal negligence charges or prosecution for practicing medicine healing the disease of pregnancy without a license. At an average cost of $1,000 to have a baby in this country as of this writing, $1,500 for a really first class delivery, $500 for the cheapy, quickie, God help you, ghetto delivery, and millions of infants being born yearly. A lot of cold cash is at stake, along with a massive investment of ego and power. Also, this was written a little while ago. Birth right now is about like 10 grand or more, a lot more. And if you don't have insurance to cover that, I mean, it's a lot more expensive than getting a midwife. Just to let you know, the midwife is about like 55, 6 grand, whereas you're going to pay upwards of 15 to 20, a huge bill from a hospital. So it just depends, you know. If you have insurance, then great. But I have insurance. I can get a completely free birth at a hospital, but I'm choosing to pay the money that I'm paying. So, you know, whatever the opinions are the opinions. You can leave them in the comments or not. I don't really care, because at the end of the day, I do believe that each mother, each parent, each family individually has to make these decisions for themselves. So keep that in mind. The resistance of the medical people to natural childbirth is understandable. Resistance is displayed to anything natural. And we know that. We grow up in a society where resistance is displayed to anything natural. The natural does not pay and does not need the professional who robs you of what is naturally yours and sells it back to you at a dear price. Childbirth as a natural, euphoric, and ecstatic experience, as reported by primitives, hippies who birth in their own dirty homes, or other uncivilized specimens, obviously will not do. Childbirth is and will damned well be kept dangerous, difficult, painful, complicated, obscure, mysterious, and vastly beyond the grasp of simple layperson, someone who does not even know Latin anatomical terminology. How could women be kept frightened enough to jump through those medical hoops, assume the unnatural position, submit to the series of insults and violations of person and child, and keep those husbands shucking out all those bucks if such a notion as natural childbirth were to take hold? So let me just explain. These statistics get worse for melanated women, black women, right? And I'm not a black woman, but I understand how sick the society is to treat black women as if they are different from any other woman. And white women will get the extra care, the extra comfort, the extra, we will listen to you, ma'am, whatever you want. Whereas women from low-income scenarios and neighborhoods will get treated like they have absolutely no say, like they're stupid, like they don't know nothing. And it is completely disgusting, vile, and unfair. So just to say, another reason for me, personally, my mom was pregnant 12 times. She actually had 5 babies. Her first child she gave birth to in Trinidad in a hospital, but he then died a few days later. Okay, this was also a long time ago, different scenarios, different lots of things. But the hospital didn't really do anything to help prevent that. I don't know what would have happened if she gave birth any other way. Anyway, so all of her births, though, that were successful, you know, because she's definitely had abortions and miscarriages in between. She had me when she was 40, and even my birth was only like less than 5 hours of labor, right? Active labor. So all of my older sisters, because I was the last one to be born, they have had their babies. And one of my sisters had them young, and then one of them had them at like 35. Their labors were all fast. I'm talking about just a few hours at a time. And no medication, no epidurals. My mom never took one. They never took one. I think only one of my sisters was induced, and she didn't really need to be induced. It probably would have worked out perfectly fine if they just waited a few more hours. But of course, they don't want to do that. They're on a time schedule. So, yeah. Because of that information, and usually you can see, you know, within your own mother and grandmother's like line, how births go. Sometimes there's a lot of complications, and for that I can understand. You just rather be safe and be in a hospital setting or a birthing center or whatever, you know. And that's cool, that's great. But according to my family, I might be all right. So I may be taking a risk in some people's eyes, but I'm also making a very educated decision in my own life. And I have made these decisions my whole life when it comes to so many things, and I don't really regret any of them. I've never been hospitalized before. And thinking about everybody's fast births and deliveries, I'm very intuitive. I know that I want to be in my own zone, in my own space. I now have a midwife and working on getting a doula. And I will have all the help that I need, including my family there, to make this the most beautiful experience it can be. And like I said, I know anything can happen. So, those are the risks that we take just being alive. Life and death is so fickle, and life is so easily taken, honestly. And there's nothing we can do. All of the control and prep means nothing in an instant when something really is just supposed to go, it's supposed to go. So, in understanding those concepts, those really big concepts that are hard to grasp, I am prepared to go through this experience, and I absolutely want to document it, and I absolutely want to share my experience with y'all. And, I hope that I just want to get there. I want to get there. 27 weeks, gonna be 28, gonna have my baby shower in sometime in October around my birthday, and then I'm gonna be giving birth to a healthy, beautiful baby boy in the month of December. A little Saggy baby, which I'm excited for. I'm a Sagittarius rising, so that works for me. And yeah, I'm just excited. I feel ready. I've definitely had my moments where I was like scared and like, oh my god, like all of this pain that I'm gonna have to go through, all of this I'm gonna have to really push. I'm really gonna have to really like mentally do it. But I've always been someone who has, whatever I make up my mind to, it will happen. And I live my life already very unorthodox to the average American, and I don't even really want to be here in America, but we'll work on that later. Maybe I end up here forever. I don't know. Who cares? We'll figure it out. What is for me is for me. What is for you is for you. And I hope that we can at least take that away from this. So, I'm sharing this because I just want to be as open as possible with my decisions. And I want to be able to look back and really see how I was, who I was, and I want my children to see this is who I am, and these are the decisions I'm making in the way that I'm making it. So thank y'all for watching. It has been fun. I am going to get back to my regularly scheduled program, get some other videos done. Follow me on Instagram, n.razzie, for regular updates on astrology, and to, catch some pics of my baby bump if you want. I'm gonna go eat a snack too. And if you need a reading, if you're looking for life guidance, I absolutely love working with people long term. You can get one reading from me to start. I have a list of different types of readings I do at my website, thecrystalmessenger.com. Everything will be in the bio, and please stick around for more videos. Leave me suggestions of things that you want to see. I'm only just truly working on this, and as you can see already, I'm just to go with the flow. It's, I prioritize myself, I prioritize my family, my health, my well-being, my happiness, my joy, but I love doing this as well for y'all, and I love coming on and sharing what I know. So thank you again. Have a beautiful day and time, and I wish you all well on your journey wherever you are.